What were we going to talk
What
about?
were we talking about? Better Call Saul.
Yeah.
There was one of those ads in A Boy's Life. Can you act as good as this actor? And then there was a
Who
picture
was the actor?
of the neighbor from the Jeffersons.
Yeah.
And then
The English guy? Or
yes.
The other guy? Paul Benedict.
Paul Benedict.
Yeah.
I was just doing sketch comedy as a kid at home for my family. That's how I started.
And his mom was a big agent.
I love doing sketches. I love writing comedy sketches, and at a certain point, I listened to the Credibility Gap, which was a group that Michael was a founding member of, and did a lot of great comedy with them. And that group was, to go over it again, you and David
Lander, Harry Shearer, and Richard Beebe for most of the recorded, all the recorded stuff. Yeah.
It was a comedy sketch group. They did a radio show and I guess live performance. I'd never seen any live performance.
Oh, you never did?
No.
Because you were in Chicago at that point, yes.
And so that was a big inspiration to me. I've always mentioned it. Monty Python, Credibility Gap, Bob and Ray, and Woody Allen, kind of, Steve Martin for sure. And then there's a hard line and nothing else. Oh, wait a second. Yeah. I mean, I liked SCTV and I liked SNL and I liked the Goodies.
Yeah.
But I was very young.
Bill Oddie and the Goodies. Did you ever hear a radio show called I'm Sorry, I'll Read That Again?
No.
That's where it was. Cleese is in it, Bill Oddie, Graham Garden.
Yeah.
You know, and pretty funny. A lot of puns.
Oh, yeah.
A lot of silly stuff. Yeah.
But so I liked that stuff, and that's what I did. And then through that, acted. I didn't act in school. I wasn't in the thespian club. I did do a play in Chicago, and I don't know why I did this. I helped pay for it. You know, Israel Horovitz Line.
Sure. Oh, yeah,
we did Line at the Prop Theater, and I was doing sketch comedy, and I thought I want to do a straight play. And that's kind of an absurdist play. It's very strange, but I did that for a couple of weeks. But outside of that, I didn't act in anything dramatic, and and then just I had a career for a while, and then slowly did a few dramatic things, and then for some fucking reason I can't figure, Vince Gilligan made me the lawyer on Breaking Bad, which was like, I really thought, because this happened to me once before, I thought there's a chance I'll show up on set and they will go, "You're Bob Odenkirk." Oh.
I had, "Oh, you're not Michael O'Keefe."
Oh, yeah, exactly. Yeah. That's what I thought.
Too late, you hired me.
Yeah.
Cash the check.
I mean, and then they just tell me to go home, and I go, "All right, I get it. But, you know, make an effort next time, you know. Make sure you got the right guy, because..."
They thought you were Steve Oedeker?
Oh, why would he get the role?
No, I
He
don't know
wouldn't
what
get the role either.
was,
Some guy I don't know.
Phyllis Kirk.
Borb Orphan Dick, who's a stage actor. He's wonderful.
Robert Goulet? Yeah.
Yeah. But, you know, I went and did it, and I didn't look the gift horse in the mouth, and I did my best, and then eventually I did ask Vince why he hired me, and he said, "'Cause of Mr. Show." I'm like, all right, that doesn't explain anything, but again, I'm not going to ask.
In the Mr. Show sketches where you were kind of playing the sane one, well, there were a few. There was something about your earnestness that made all the other lunacy work. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yes, I think I can get a hold of a point of view and commit to it,
hang on
something
to it,
crazy, and mean it. You were a guest actor on Mr. Show, which was a crazy honor for us. And,
oh my God.
Super fun.
I remember sucking up to you to get that job. It was memorable, yeah.
I'm sure that didn't happen.
Well, no, I ran into you at something at Paramount, like a Star Trek thing. Was there a screening of a Star?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, a screening of, was it the new movie?
It was the newest one.
Yeah.
Yeah. And, and I was there with Fletcher, my son. We met Fletcher.
Yes.
And I said, I said, wow, at our place, we worship at the shrine of Mr. Show, is what I said, because it was just, I was like, oh, God, imagine this. Well, because HBO had been looking for something for comedy other than stand-up. You know, they kind of ruled in stand-up, but they didn't really have the sketch show. And then it was like, oh, man.
Well, they weren't very happy about it.
They don't have to be happy as long as they put it on the air.
Yeah. Well, that was wonderful to have you involved in that.
That was great.
And you were great in it.
And I got to play John Houseman.
Yes.
So it's win-win.
You want to tell your story?
That is my story.
Because you actually were an actor. You didn't just do sketch comedy when you were young.
No.
Like me, you did singing, acting, you did everything.
No, I grew up in Long Island, and my thought was that I was going to get jobs on Broadway and just either live in the city or just commute from my house in Seacliff. So, you know, I thought I had a real good shot at either one. So I went to Carnegie Mellon. At the time, it was known as Carnegie Tech. It's before the Mellon money. I went to Carnegie before the Mellon money. I went to NYU before the Tisch money.
Jeez.
Yeah, I know.
Got in there right before it got
row.
Good.
Yeah, well, maybe that's why it got good. We got rid of McKeon. Where's the grant?
McKeon's gone. Send us that money.
Pay window open. No, I thought that's what I was going to do. I thought I was going to be a
drama.
Well, I don't know,
singing.
Anything. No, I wanted to be. I had a really cool teacher in high school who was a drama coach, and he really knew a lot of stuff. But at one point he said, you know, you might have to come to a decision about whether you're going to be a good actor or a funny actor, because you could be either one. And I said, well, what's Alan Arkin?
Yeah.
And he went,
yeah.
That's, you know, kind of what I wanted to be, a guy who could do kind of anything.
Right.
Because, you know, once you really boil it down, acting is finding out your intent,
right,
and pursuing believing your goals and all that. So believing it and pursuing your goals, and that's the same whether it's.
I know, and I've said the same thing, and people are like, so surprising, somebody from comedy and did a drama, and of course every year somebody from comedy does a great dramatic turn, and everyone goes, how did you do that? It's not possible. And there is I agree with you that, you know, in comedy and drama, there's just a need for commitment, an ability to surrender yourself to the character's desires and wants, and just to commit. On the other hand, I think that the challenge is it's the modulation can be hard for, I think, some people.
Sure.
I think that's where maybe you had a talent and an ability that not everybody has, and it's hard, and maybe Alan Arkin has it too, you know, like, I do think that not everybody in comedy can do that modulation that you need to do.
Yeah.
But most can, and most can do the commitment, for sure.
Yeah. But it doesn't work without the commitment. You've seen a lot of comedy that you didn't buy because nobody believed it on this. They were just going joke to joke, or they were going, you know, oh, here's that thing I do, and I'm going to do it here.
Right.
If you
There's
know,
that.
so
Happens all the time.
And then it's like, you know, it's like taking a bunch of acts and shuffling them together rather than creating a scene about what the scene's really about. You know, I've seen very broad comedy that I completely believed. And I've seen comedy that was very broad, that was just broad comedy, and what time is it? Let's get out of here. You know.
So, and you've always done this your whole career too. You kind of have always kept these balls in the air, right? I mean, with a few years where you did more comedy, but it seems like, you know, when I see movies that you've done, and there's kind of that's the other thing that's hard for people in Hollywood. You do kind of have to pick oftentimes a sort of avenue, like this is what I do.
Exactly. Yeah.
Because the business is like, we're very confused by you.
Yeah.
Please help us. What do you want to do? Let's do that.
Well, part of it is, one thing that really helps is going to do theater sometimes, because you can do a lot on the stage that you couldn't get away with in close-up.
Yeah.
You know. I played Luther Billis in South Pacific when I was 60 years old. You're not supposed to be in the Navy when you're 60 years old, but it was at the Hollywood Bowl, so nobody could see me. You know, the closest patron is 40 feet away. I'm fine. You know, But it's not just that, but it's also people kind of. There's a producer named Jeffrey Richards I worked with a lot on Broadway, and we had worked together in Pajama Game. It was a very goofy musical, and I was being a very goofy guy. And they were going to do a revival of The Homecoming by Pinter, and they needed this kind of lumbering, quiet, terribly tortured soul to play Sam, the chauffeur, and so they cast me in it, and I didn't know why they chose me.
Right.
But it was kind of a wonderful thing. I got to be in this strange, dark, kind of damp, weird world. And from that, Tracy Letts saw me in that and cast me in Superior Donuts. So it was like, you stay out of one avenue, like you said, by trying all these alleyways, you know. And, you know, a zillion people didn't see me do Superior Donuts, but it really changed my whole life in a lot of ways as far as what I can do. And right after that, I did Our Town, a revival, the Barrow Street Theater in New York, which was very wonderful. And I did it for 2 months. I did the stage manager for 2 months. And that taught me another lesson. Then when I went back to shooting something, I just felt a little bit more invested in the material, no matter what the material was. You know, because get a chance to work with really, really great words like that.
As much as I have a lot of fun and variety in my life, because I still am doing some sketch comedy, it seems to me like every day you must wake up and go, okay, I got to recalibrate everything because I'm doing a Broadway show, I'm singing now, and that's so different from the kind of scenes we're doing. I mean, it's just so wildly different physically. Your everything, your projection, your. Well, I mean, it's fun, right? To have that much variety, it's a lot of fun. But still, do you ever get tripped up? Do you ever go, what the fuck am I doing now? Oh, right, the people are far away. Okay, what was I doing? I was doing the film thing, because that's...
No, because what you do is you step into a company. You know, if I'm going to do a play, I meet a whole bunch of people. Some of them I know already, and then we settle down, and we're like a small town. I've moved to a small town for you know, between a month and 6 months. And, you know, everyone's kind of like getting to know each other, and we all.
I mean, while we were doing this show, you were going to New York to prepare, I believe, or
no, I was doing.
You were doing
All the Way.
Oh, you're still doing All the Way.
Yeah.
But didn't you also? You had another piece that didn't start until after we were done.
That was in November, October.
You were still doing All the Way. That's right.
Yeah.
That was the first show where you had to miss days.
I know. Well, no. It was the first show that I volunteered to miss. I missed days without being in the hospital because I was hit by a car when I was doing Best Man, so I missed that curtain that night, and all the rest of the curtains for that run.
Think about. See this?
I don't know.
You're not going to get into the Actors
It's an
Hall
ego
of
thing.
Fame.
It's
You're not
definitely
going to get into the Actors Hall of Fame.
No.
You don't have a perfect
Never
record.
missed a performance.
Never missed
I followed Harvey Fierstein into Hairspray.
Right.
And he had missed one half of one performance in 2 years. And it's like, where would you rather be? Well, this is my job, is to be up there tonight at 7, and then
as hard as it can be, life is simpler in the character, in the performance. Even though that can be a complicated life too. And a complicated person. Real life, you get a phone call and your kid needs something, your wife needs, fucking car breaks down. It doesn't happen to you as a character.
No, and it doesn't always happen. And the stuff that happens in your real life isn't always a well-pitched story.
Right.
Sometimes it's really mostly it's just kind of sloppy and everything. The Mark Twain quote is, well, of course, truth is stranger than fiction, because fiction has to make sense.
That's a great one. I've never heard that.
It's absolutely true, too.
I'm going to ask Michael, because of all the comedy you've done, even as far back as Credibility Gap, but then things like Lenny and Squiggy, and you're very well loved for that, and that's very broad.
Yes.
Do you feel any obligation to be a humorous sprite in their presence?
You know, if I had to choose a kind of sprite, I'd be the sprite of tragedy. Because then people wouldn't be expecting it.
Do you ever have fans and you feel like, you don't have any obligation? I think if you're just in show business, first of all, you're in kind of the insular world of actors and stuff.
Right.
That's the way you perceive yourself. I don't know.
And yet-
Sometimes when people on the street talk to me, I'm like, I'm just a guy.
Well, but there are certain things that you can say. I mean, David Lander is great at this, you know.
Yeah.
I mean, he's great with kids.
Yeah.
You know, it's just things like, how old are you? 13. Oh, when I was your age, I was only 11. You know, just that kind of patter, you know, the autograph patter. And there are people who are just brilliant at that. And I kind of admire that.
Right.
And there's a way of kind of keeping it light. And then if, let's say there's 3 or 4 people and they all want an autograph or they all want to say hello or something, if one of them is kind of trying to be funny, everybody smells it.
Yeah.
You know, it's not like you have to point it out.
Right.
You know, but it's certainly not up to you. I mean, you're on your way home or to get into a taxi or you know, to leave the bordello, whatever your mission is. You know, and we're just living a life. You know, and I like when I make people laugh and they don't pay for it.
Yeah.
But by the same token, it's nothing I owe them any more than they owe me anything.
Right,
So.
right. And I think as a performer, you've certainly done enough where people don't think, wait, why isn't he being funny? I mean,
No.
they know you well enough from so many different roles.
Yeah, but they also know
For
the
me,
context.
luckily, I'm lucky that Mr. Show isn't that popular. No, and I mean that seriously. It's like it has its cult fan base, and then for a lot of people, it's like the only thing they've ever seen me do is Saul Goodman, and so I don't.
Yeah.
You know, they're not going to have any expectation.
Well, I always thought that the avoiding typecasting, if that's this kind of in general, it's kind of a similar thing. But to avoid typecasting, it's not your first gig that gets you in trouble. It's your second and third. And if your second and third look exactly like your first, you're done.
Right.
You're done. It's going to be 3 years down the line, and you'll be, you know, a trivia question.
Right.
You know, it's like people who can do a lot of stuff hang in there for a while, you know, which is great. I mean, you know, I don't know. It's complicated, and yet it really seems to happen on its own.
Yeah,
you know?
Totally. Now, when you saw the script for Better Call Saul, or I know that no one got to see it. You had to kind of trust the creators and the team.
And they had to run a background check on me too, just to, you know, got to sign all these papers and non-disclosure and all that.
But did you? And how much did you know about the character when you started it? I mean, obviously we didn't know what was going to happen.
I didn't know
between these
anything.
two guys.
I mean, I just knew that you know, the gang wanted me to do it, and that was good enough for me. So I knew it was going to be really good and fun. But I knew nothing. I thought my name was Dr. Thurber. That was the first press release.
Oh.
Yeah. Once I was cast as Dr. Thurber.
Yeah, they were just.
It was just they were throwing names out there to
bullshit.
say, don't come sniffing around. I know. And then it's his brother. Why is his name? Oh, yeah, because his name is Chuck McGill, and he's got what? He's got an affliction. Okay, what's the?
Yeah, you were worried about.
I was terrified it was going to be psoriasis or something.
Yeah.
You know, like 3 hours in the makeup chair every day.
Right.
But I lucked out.
And when you first heard the affliction, did you look it up online right away?
Sure.
Yeah.
Oh,
right?
yeah.
Because you do immediately go, that's got to be bullshit.
Yeah. Yeah.
And yet it sounds like there's people who, all kinds of crazy shit.
But there are people who can tell you when lightning is coming. You know, there are people who feel, you know, different levels of electromagnetism in the air. Just like there are people who react to a Santa Ana wind and terribly, you know, some people go crazy when the Santa Ana wind. It doesn't bother me. But some people get really
agitated
crazy. And it feels like a physical thing. Some people get literally nauseated if they looked out on that balcony now, 9 floors up, they would have a physical reaction. So
Right.
it's all that is legitimate.
Right.
You know, whatever level of you know, emotional, there's something happens to you physically.
Right.
So you know, I looked up, I saw enough to see that there were a lot of conflicting symptoms and a lot of conflicting kind of feelings about it. A lot of people who said this is bullshit, and a lot of people who said no, this is psychological. It's real. And other people said no, it's a physical ailment. You know.
I hadn't looked, but is there any YouTube videos about it? I mean, I read the Wikipedia stuff.
Yeah, and
wonder if
people
there's
have sent me
anybody
stuff. Have sent me
Of course,
some.
obviously, if you have it, it's hard to record yourself talking about it.
Yes. They put you in the middle of a field and you yell really loud, and they pick it up on microphones 100 yards away.
I just wonder when you got the role. I mean, we sat down to do that first scene with Vince in the first episode,
Yeah.
and we had time to rehearse, which was great. And
Yeah.
you don't get that in TV, and you don't even get it later in the season. But that first episode, there were 13 days, I believe, to shoot it.
Right.
And we had time to do it, but we're very lucky that we got on the same page so quick about it.
We were also lucky that the guy who co-created the characters was on
Is
the
right
set
there.
directing. Yeah.
Yeah,
So if he didn't have the answers,
yeah,
nobody's gonna have the answers.
yeah. He was able to talk us through a lot
Yeah.
of questions we had.
Yeah. But we had to kind of decide at what level our belief was. I felt it as a physical thing. I felt it
Yeah,
as real as
totally.
one would feel a stomach flu. You
Well,
being analytical, being also looking for something, looking for a bright side. If it's, you know, if this is all in your head, we can fix this. It's
Right.
not an unknown thing. It's like you really need to maybe go to Bermuda or something for a couple of weeks. Whatever, you know, you were looking for a way to make it all better, easier.
well, I think my choice, as the character, is the choice almost anybody would make, which is, what can you, if the person insists on it, you have to acknowledge it to some
Right.
point. And you can be annoyed by it and all, but you're not going to get through it by just telling them it's bullshit.
Right.
It's not going to go away.
Right.
So, and I'm sure he's tried that.
But that's why Jimmy points out to Chuck, hey, when this thing hit the newspaper, when this thing started to get bad again, trying to make it,
Yeah.
I screwed up again, and that's why you're feeling it more.
And
you know?
have you got anyone in your life like that? Because I know with my kids,
Yeah.
if my kids are doing anything, having trouble at school or something, I'm like, what did I do
Yeah, of course.
last week? Did I yell at them? Of
course.
I'm like, right away, I'm like, what did I do wrong?
I think, and these siblings, you and me, are especially sensitive to that.
Right.
Because you followed me
Well,
into this.
I think Jimmy has lived a lot of his life in relation to Chuck.
Yeah, yeah.
Chuck does this, I'm going to do the opposite, or I'm going to try to do that too. It's
Yeah.
just a constant, really strong push and pull to whatever Chuck's done.
Yeah.
And that's, listen, I'm from a family of 7. My brother Bill is a really funny comedy writer.
Yes.
He writes for The Simpsons for years. But he's got a doctorate in chemistry from the University
Right.
of Chicago. He spent 7 years getting that doctorate. Now, he would visit me occasionally at SNL, and everyone loved him. And he's so funny. I mean,
Yeah.
Conan and Smigel be like, why isn't he writing comedy? He's so funny. I mean, not many people are that funny.
Yeah.
Usually you're like, your friend's kind of funny.
Yeah, yeah.
These guys, after 2 or 3 visits, were like, he should be a comedy writer. And I asked him years later, why did you spend 7 years doing this thing that ultimately he didn't really like that much?
Right.
He goes, well, you were doing comedy. You did comedy, so I'm not going to do that.
Is that healthier, do you think, than
No.
someone who would?
It's the overreaction shit that people do, that siblings and children
But here you
do.
go again. Here you go again, sir. You're making it. That's not the only thing that went into his decision to do 7 years.
Yeah.
You're not
there's
the,
other stuff, too.
Yes. Yeah.
What else did I want to ask you about? I mean, how great was this storyline? Do you feel, do people tell you that they don't like Chuck now?
Oh, God, yeah. Betrayed.
Because they did like Chuck, and they hated Howard.
But that's why, yeah, exactly. They're still on the fence about Howard.
Yes.
But they know that he did the right thing that he didn't have to let Kim in on that, you know?
Yeah.
He really could have said, no, bye, see you later. But instead it's like, all right, I didn't want to tell you this. Yeah. Well, listen, one of my favorite things always, if it's a film or a book or a play, is when you think you know somebody. And whether you love them and it goes south, or if they're awful, 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 and then, Jesus, he's the hero. You know, those things are amazing. That's what's so great about stories.
Yeah.
You know, is that they can do that. Do you know that this movie, maybe we've talked about this movie, Say Anything? Cameron Crowe's movie with John Cusack. And John Mahoney's character in that. He's so decent. He breaks your heart. And then it turns out he's the worst son of a bitch. But he still, it's a wonderful performance.
Yeah.
Because there's not a glimmer of it at all.
Right.
And even when he's busted, it's like he still thinks he's a decent guy.
Right.
But we're going, geez, you broke my heart. You know?
Yeah.
But you did it at exactly the right moment.
Yeah.
You know, you did it in the third reel.
Yeah.
You know, when we were really, really counting on you. I think that's what happens with us. I think that's the structure of this was kind of marvelous. The next to last episode in this season was that change up. And I like to think that not a lot of people saw it coming.
I agree. Some people claim to have seen it coming, but not many. And I doubt many did. And I love, too, the speech that in that moment you're given. I have sympathy for it. As a person who loves comedy, right?
Yeah.
When you see, you know, every couple of years, everybody in the world goes, this guy's the funniest guy in the world. And you're like, I think he's just fireworks, you know?
Yeah.
I think it's smoke and light show here.
Yeah.
And there's that thing of like, no, I care about this fucking thing. And he's not fucking good. And he doesn't have the fundamentals at all. And it's bullshit. And you're all going to fucking figure that out. And there is you're pissed off on a very personal level because you care too much and in the wrong quantity about this thing. But you know that, and yet you can't deny it. Yeah. And in this case, Chuck's like, you fucking asshole. I care about the law. And there's this thing I was talking about earlier of when somebody's good at something, like Chuck is at the law, and I think Vince is at obviously writing, people treat it a little bit like, oh yeah, you're gifted, yeah. Like you don't have to try. You don't work hard. God gave you that. You know what I mean? So it's like that's Chuck saying, no, I fucking worked hard.
Yeah.
And I actually cared every minute of it.
You know, and there's something else too. I think a guy who did work hard like Chuck did and has achieved great success in his field like Chuck did, aside from his brother, he saw dozens of guys who were not talented, but had a certain way of nailing it, and who didn't really deserve to get ahead, but really, really got ahead, and are now heading firms across town that I wouldn't send a chicken thief to.
Yeah.
You know. But it's, and of course in acting, we have the same thing. See, a lot of people slide in there with something that's, you know. But there's one other element too. There's a personal thing that Jimmy and Chuck have not discussed on camera. And it's something, there's only one mention of our mom in the first season. It's just, you couldn't call me yourself, you call mom to get you to bail you out. So we're assuming that now, 10, 15 years later, whatever it is, mom's probably gone.
Right.
But mom is very heavy in our scenes sometimes, I feel, because you're the one who made her laugh.
Yeah. Right.
I'm the one who made her proud.
Right.
You know, I was the one who was never a problem. You were the biggest pain in the ass you possibly could be, but
And
you
I got
made her.
all the
But you made her
attention.
laugh. But you made her laugh.
Right.
And you know, to the primitive brain, that means that she loved you more.
Right.
And I'll never forgive you for that.
Yeah, yeah.
So along with Jimmy, you know I'm telling you the truth about this, and the law is sacred and all that. There's that other element too.
Right,
You
right.
know?
These guys, these writers they work so hard. You've been to the writers' room, right?
No, I still haven't. I keep
man.
wanting to go out there and then thinking I'll just
Well,
be
if
in
you
the
want
way.
to know what brains smell like when they're frying, you know, I mean, they do have a good time, and
Yeah.
I actually have heard, and I'm happy to have heard, you know, kind of positive, you know, vibes and stuff coming from them and about this second season. But usually you go in there, and if you remember the hardest thing you ever worked on or wrote or suffered through, algebra problem or whatever,
Yeah.
you look around the room and you go, oh, you guys are doing that thing
Yeah.
every day, all day.
Well, there's a reason they call it breaking the story.
Yeah,
Because it's like breaking bones
Yeah.
and pulling your own teeth.
yeah.
You know.
So they're working hard. I mean, we're very lucky.
Yeah.
You looking forward to the second season?
Yeah.
Me too. I hope we
I
have
don't know.
some.
I just hope I don't get murdered in the middle
Jesus,
of
I
it.
don't know what's
America
gonna
says that you got to go, Chuck.
Do
They
people?
really hate
what
you.
do they say to you? What's,
Well, you broke my heart, Chuck. You know, this is just Twitter
but don't
stuff.
people
though.
see
And
your
there-
side of it? Because I do.
Some do. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, no, definitely. Some people have said you're not wrong, but but that really hurt. I was like, well, good.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
supposed to hurt. You know, you're not supposed to be. As
You know
I-
what was crazy about it too was that in this scene, I discover this horrible betrayal, and so I'm deeply hurt and almost righteous about it.
Yeah.
And then out of you comes this speech and this emotion and this pain that is almost, it's certainly equal, if not in the moment, overwhelming whatever Jimmy's just
What do you
presented.
think Jimmy thought
And
he
it's a
was gonna
crazy
hear?
thing because you cut to Jimmy and instead of getting this reaction of like, I'm so sorry,
Right.
and I know it hurts
I'm
you,
busted, and
I'm busted, I fucked
can I
up,
make
I'm
it
a
up to
shitty
you?
guy. He gets, you're fucking insensitive to me.
That's right.
And he's kind of really, his head is spinning of like,
Yeah.
well, I guess I am, but fuck you.
That's
but
so great about that scene.
it's really wonderful. I mean, it really is. And in a weird way, both characters are equally devastated by.
Yeah. Oh
by
no.
what's
No
going
one's left standing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I can't wait. Get to do more.
Yep.
I really want to be surprised. I'm going to go into the writer's room next week and say hi, but try not to. I don't want to know anything, you know.